250 years ago, America was born when we wrested freedom from a petty tyrant. Across the generations, Americans have preserved that freedom, expanded it, and in so doing, proved to the world that a government of, by, and for the people is strong and can endure. And those who came before us, they did not struggle, sacrifice, and lay down their lives only to see us cede our fundamental freedoms to the will of another petty tyrant. So America, in 7 days, we have the power to turn the page and start writing the next chapter in the most extraordinary story ever told.
Nazi. We're called Nazis. Nazi. I'm called Hitler. 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 I'm called Hitler.
And let me ask you, when his life was on the line, did he falter? Did he waver? Did he yield? Did he surrender? Did he hesitate? Did he back down? Did he give one single solitary inch? Think about how corrupt and hateful, corrupt and hateful, corrupt and hateful, corrupt and hateful.
We have had an alliance with the Russian people, an alliance with the Russian people, an alliance with the Russian people, most successful, an alliance with the Russian people, most successful, most successful.
Here we are.
Welcome everybody to Rad Pod and Chill. Thank you, High Fidelity, for that very Rad Pod opener and for allowing us to breathe in some of the sage. We do kill our prophets, and I'd like to think that we are going to be celebrating together next week. But I'm a little emotional.
I'm celebrating with that thing.
Oh.
He's gonna kill himself, man.
High Fidelity showed us what he was planning to smoke for pain. He is a chronic pain patient, and it looks like you could actually smack somebody upside the head with it.
Wow. It is a liquid diamond infused rolled liquid diamond 1 gram pre-roll, kids.
I gotta tell you,
going out like champs.
Would it be Rad Pod and Chill if it was not a hot mess, even in our most beautiful moments? No, it would not be. Anyway, I'm rather emotional from that beautiful opener and that crazy opener. And Jim, can you just ground us?
Well, what would ground me, hi-fi, we need a button, like we have for Peter Thiel for the scream. You need a scream button? All right. I'm addicted to the scream. Can you play it? I can't right now, but I'll just have it later. Okay, all right. Damn. Give me 30 seconds. I can make it.
What are we even talking about?
Well, okay, so I don't like to talk about numbers and whatever, but I had a truly viral little video of Elon
Great.
Musk
Great.
embarrassing himself and America and everyone else at Donald Trump's Nazi rally. So I think it's at 25 million views.
Wow.
It's a fucking big tweet.
Wow.
It was 15 seconds long. And all it is me saying, I think we've hit peak cringe.
Yes, I saw that.
And I felt so strongly about it that where can we fucking go from here? Right. And I wrote an article, and I still stand by it. Like, that night was so fucking bad and awful in every conceivable way. To include the guy literally tanking, doing the worst possible thing he could do, which is to, he's making inroads into the Latino community. And then he has this guy on to call Puerto Rico an island of garbage, right? And then compounds it by getting on garbage trucks and, and shit all day long. Anyway, so all this video is Elon Musk going, USA, like he can't figure out how to say USA, and he Thank you. I need that. Just you'll know. You know what I'm saying?
It was,
and so it reminded not just me but a lot of other people of the Dean Scream, which, if you recall, destroyed his candidacy 20 years ago, right? When he's just being a politician. It's hardly even notable at all. Yeah. And the media apparently was on a mission to get this guy, and they just swooped and destroyed his entire presidential. And I was a fan. I was interested in his candidacy. I wasn't ready to vote for him yet, but I was interested. And anyway, so I thought that was interesting, and that it matched up perfectly with that fucking llama or whatever that is. That a llama? I think it is. That screams. And anyway, that's just my favorite thing. It's.
I'm just giving Jim dopamine tonight.
I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it. Because look, but basically, and people who've been in recovery and stuff know this. Sometimes you want to carve a bottom, right? You want to just say, "Fucking, we've just got here, and let's just recognize that we're done now. We've had it with all this. Not like there's a Nazi. You had another Nazi rally, just like the one in 1939. Are you fucking shitting me? Really?" Right? I get that feeling from the country, even from the media, shockingly. Like I'm seeing some actual, people standing up and saying things are what they are.
Yeah.
And you know what? And I'll shut up. But I really do think a lot of it is Musk. And the reason for it is he's mocking us, right? He's making a mockery of us. What is that? What is he doing right now? He's writing big giant Publishers Clearinghouse checks to people against the law, knowing it's against the law. Got a court summons this morning to be in court. And he was just like, "No, thank you." Like, and I genuinely think that even people that, have been, I won't say brainwashed into that ideology are kind of like, bro, this is over the top for us even. Like, I get this feeling, and, what he has undoubtedly done with his purchase of Twitter and his absolutely blatant psychological warfare, I think he's moved the needle over the last few years, just from what he's been doing on Twitter and some other associated propaganda. But I just get the feeling that they kind of push their fucking luck, and I don't think that Donald Trump wobbling his ass into a garbage truck, barely able to stand up, helped their case either. So it's been very interesting, and just I'm very mission oriented. Right now, my mission is the vote, right? Because there are people voting. There are still a lot of people going to be voting. A lot of people have, but a lot of people haven't. I'm focused on the contrast between these two people. Once all the voting is done, there's a very different mission, which is accountability and putting a stop to all the crimes that are going to be happening. But that's a different story. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you for that, Jim. I like to say that when you're holding Nazi rallies and firebombing mailboxes, that's not what winners do. That's not what they do. That's a fucking loser. That's a loser look. And yeah, I think that those aliens who are still on the fence may have seen the thrice attempt to grab a truck door missing until the third attempt and wonder if this is a person who should have nuclear codes. But I don't know, because we've been talking about information warfare for some time, and unfortunately I got a taste of it when I was watching the World Series last night, and I saw what people are seeing as advertisements, and people who do not have inoculation to information warfare see a 30-second spot of Donald Trump that is completely imaginary, in an imaginary land. And I am concerned about that because the ability to normalize this very, very fascist group of people seems to have, in my mind, no bottom.
So speaking of no bottom, Joe Rogan had JV Vance on. It's just the most ignorant shit you can imagine. And at this point, I think a lot of it really is just, they're just fucking stupid. They're just gullible, right? And it's not, I'm not letting anybody off the hook here whatsoever, but they're fucking idiots. Like, they're talking about the woke religion, right? And they're saying, out loud that because there was one incident where there was a person, who did a shooting that was trans. Right. But what they say, what JD Vance and Joe said was, if there was an ideology that was motivating mass murders, you'd think that somebody would be interested in that. And I'm just like, are you fucking serious? How many can I name? Right? Just off my head, not to mention the God knows how many hate incidents and murders that have happened from this. And it's the ability for these people to live in a completely projected world and be able to lie, to create that sort of Plato's alternate reality that we've talked about many times, is just breathtaking to me. And I watched or skimmed 3 fucking hours of these two sitting there bloviating about vaccines and stuff like they have any clue. And it's just heartbreaking that I know so many people, listen to it.
They don't know how dangerous it is. They don't know how dangerous these people are. And yeah, we've known, but I don't think the majority of people even understand.
He's the biggest podcaster in the world. It's fucking nuts.
He got paid to do exactly what he's doing. What he's doing is platforming the worst people, like Tucker Carlson's platforming the worst people. And when he, tries to get Kamala Harris on, oh, well, I would have to, accommodate her. Can't she just come to Austin? Like, what is that? So yeah, High Fidelity, you want to say something?
I'm just thinking about how back in the day, everybody understood that there were certain parts of boxing that were tied to organized crime, and Joe Rogan is an MMA fighter, and it did just the whole fucking mess, all of it. I look around America and I see, like, the guy running in Ohio, Bernie Moreno. This is a guy who has stolen from his employees. He's had to pay money in court. It's 400 some $1,000. Apparently, he lied about divesting himself from his businesses. But this isn't just Bernie Moreno. I bet everybody in every single state out there knows someone like this. Some corrupt politician who's now all behind Trump. I mean, it's like the dirt's just congealing across the country and making it very obvious to see. On this show, we've talked about the first energy scandal where, $60 million, some $1 million in bribes. We've talked about Florida Power and Light paying for ghost candidates down in Florida. We've talked about the Alabama power company that was paying for black ops and intelligence operations. We are on, for us, the eve of the decision for the future of humanity. And I just don't know how many people look around and see all the things that are out there there are things aligned against us, but we've identified so many of them for you. And hopefully that's enough to make you realize, holy shit, there really is an enemy. Here's who they are. And the fight is on. That's all.
Well, look, if I may, let's just break it out for a second. I'll be brief.
Please.
I am devoid of hopium. I hate it. Yada. My gut is that this election is about where the Biden win was. Right? I think my best guess is it's margin of error, but Kamala. It's probably 3 points, something like that. Which in some ways is the worst case scenario. If you recall last time, it was approximately the same margin in the popular vote. Joe Biden won by 74 electoral votes. Nevertheless, we got what we got, after. The good news is, right, what did Steve Bannon do when he got out of prison? The first thing that Steve Bannon did when he got out of prison, screamed like a little fucking baby about Mark Elias. That's good. That is the best possible thing, right? He's been in there for 4 months worrying his little fascist head off because their plans aren't going to work. Why? Because of Mark Elias. Now, that's a good sign. On the other hand, the Supreme Court just sided with Glenn Youngkin's totally performative motion to the Supreme Court to purge people from the voter rolls, which may or may not have had some people who shouldn't have been on there, but also definitely had people that should have been on there. And nevertheless, they were purged by the Supreme Court, which is being held up by the entire right wing as the best possible news. Now, why is that? Because the Supreme Court is the biggest national security risk on the planet, as far as I'm concerned. I think the elections will be fine. I think they'll be chaotic. They will try and pull some shit, but I think we'll be okay. I think there will be a giant red mirage and they'll try all kinds of stupid shit, but we'll end up within a day or two having a fairly good idea that Kamala has won. Nevertheless, that's when the games will begin.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, all of this is just maximizing that margin right now. Right? So the message for me right now is fucking vote. Get everybody to vote. Vote, vote, vote. All the numbers we have to have is the biggest possible, margin. But once the votes are in, it's going to be a straight sprint between the forces that want to overthrow our vote and disenfranchise us and our ability to get in their fucking way. So for me, there's, this week is going to mark a very different kind of tack. I've been feeling, super kind of energized and rah-rah, and these guys are stepping on their dicks so much that it's actually, been kind of good in a way, just because it's like shooting fish in a barrel because these fucking Nazis don't belong here, right?
No.
Nevertheless, after that, that's when the fight really starts.
Thank you for that.
That's my grounding for what it's worth.
Yes,
I think there's a lot of good news.
Yeah.
I think Mark Elias is doing a fucking warrior's job at doing his best.
Yeah.
But I think the Supreme Court we're gonna have to confront it. We're going to have a confrontation with a branch of our government, unfortunately.
Yeah. Word.
SCOTUS is the final boss. We got to take the fight, man.
Yeah, right. There are criminals on our Supreme Court. They've taken bribes. They are not fit for purpose. And they are there to not serve the people or the Constitution.
We did find out this week that Trump blocked the investigation into Kavanaugh of those 4,000 some, but everybody already knew that anyway, right?
Well, it's always good to have, more information is more information. So yes.
Can I remind people of something?
Sure.
Why was Kavanaugh in there? Because Anthony Kennedy, Supreme Court Justice, fucking left all of a sudden during the Trump administration.
Caught on tape.
Anybody remember who's friends with Anthony Kennedy's son?
Yeah.
Anybody remember?
Yeah.
High five.
I believe they did banking together, right?
Well, there was that.
I can't believe you didn't have the button. Where's the fucking button?
There was bank.
I'm still a piece of garbage.
I tossed it up there for you. It looked like, I thought you had some.
That is going into the heavy rotation.
But seriously, Peter Thiel is at the center of all this fucking shit, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like Anthony Kennedy suddenly left. His son is like best friends with Peter Thiel. They've met each other where? At the Stanford Federalist Society, which is exactly where Peter Thiel met the guy who went on to become the head of fucking Opus Dei in the United States of America. And who's the one who picked Kavanaugh? Leonard fucking Leo, Opus Dei lunatic. So, to me, yes, I believe the political war, and the war's not over, but I think we're going to win the political war. But the holy war,
yeah,
that's the one I'm worried about, because that's what it is. It's these fucking people
yeah,
are doing a holy war on us.
yeah,
There's a great article by Nina Burley in the New York Magazine about Alito being the knight of some shit, right? Like 65 Knight of Aloysius von Dirk Stickenstein or whatever the fuck. But it's all the same Crusaders, Knight of Malta, Christo-fascist. We have, we are the warriors and we are going to save the world for white men. There are literally a lot of people who are actually fighting that war. And until we sort of recognize that and stop, pretending that, oh, they're just extremists. They're just extremist politicians. No, they're not. They're different humans, and the reason their oath is not to the Constitution. Sure, they will live that oath up to a point, but when it goes up against the other oath that they have that's above that, they're going to side with their God every single time. That's their mantra. Is that God?
Let me throw something out there. If you don't know what we're talking about with Opus Dei and religious extremism, I would highly suggest you go watch 2 episodes of ours. One is our interview with Gareth Gore, author of Opus, and the second would be Dr. Taylor, The Violent Will Take It by Force, right? So
yeah, both of those episodes are back to back. They're both really important. 114 and 115, or somewhere around there.
113
among the last few episodes.
Oh, hey, Craig Unger's in there, Den of Spies. You should go
watch
watch that
throw
too.
that in there
just
too.
Because.
So
yes.
Dr. Matthew Taylor, who's a religious studies PhD, really did a great job of explaining the 7 mountain mandates. So I do recommend everybody watch that, because they believe that Trump will be conquering these mountains, the media mountain, the business mountain, all the mountains. And I just want to say, again, you guys know I've been reading nothing but 1930s history books, and all the people that thought they could use a authoritarian character to do their bidding, most of them that I'm focusing on, particularly the business leaders who thought that maybe they could control the worst instincts of somebody like Hitler, or exploit them for their own personal gain. It's a gang, and they tried to exploit him for gain. They all got executed by hanging. So I'm saying it didn't end well for them. They got executed by hanging in Nuremberg, or they suicided, or they got bombed in their bunkers into oblivion. So there's very few happy endings. So I'm just putting that out there in case there's some business person on the fence thinking that they might decide to go the way of what they think will be lower taxation. Buyer beware. The one thing I wanted to share with you guys is that I'm sure a lot of people have been asking, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? And I don't have an answer, because I am literally the mother right now of 1,000 broken people. I'm hearing from so many people in despair, so many people freaked out that people are obeying in advance. There was something psychologically that really hurt people when the Washington Post and the Los Angeles Times tech billionaire owners refused to endorse Kamala, and did not decide that, hey, maybe the 34-time convicted felon, we should make some sort of statement here. Anyway, I say that because the people who don't feel despair and the people who feel very buoyant right now are those who are driving to attend the Harris Walls rallies. They're the canvassers. They're the people who are calling everybody in their network to make sure they voted. So all these people who are focusing on going to the rallies, watching the rallies if they can't attend, staying close to their, voter, their networks, and making sure people are voting, and door knocking and phone banking and all of that, they're feeling really good. And I'm getting a lot of phone calls from friends in the South. I just got one today from somebody who usually is in and out when she votes, in and out. She's in Kentucky. She said the line was so long, filled with a lot of women. So I am taking some of this as a very good sign. And I think the easiest way to get out of despair is to get into action.
That's borne out, just to back that up. It's not just anecdotal. That is borne out in the actual numbers that the women vote in early voting is extremely strong. If anybody has any doubt about what that means, you know, the Supreme Court thing works both ways, right? And, you know, women and, you know, any sane men are going to be, you know, fighting to the last, let's put it that way, to you know, make sure these motherfuckers don't steal this thing. But, you know, that's what we're fighting. Is people who just they want to enslave people who, you know, they feel are beneath them. Women, anyone who doesn't look like them.
Thank you.
Not here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, we need to be the generation that defeats fascism again. High Fidelity. Do you have our Jason Stanley clip before we get into a couple clips from our most recent episode, please? The one that we didn't get to air last week.
We must admit that the spoils go too often to the wealthiest among us, who are themselves the ones who are undermining democracy. And we have to reclaim the working class by pointing out that the policies that they're backing, it will result in many of the people they don't like being humiliated, harmed. But it's the billionaire class behind this. And
yes.
And you know, it's cultural elites being targeted, like Yale professors, and you know, maybe we certainly deserve some of that. And but behind them are the business elite. Behind these attacks are the business elite, and the working class to treat Elon Musk as a hero of the working class. That hypocrisy must be uncovered and explained. Like, why is someone with hundreds of billions of dollars your representative?
Yeah, why are people cheering on a fucking billionaire? Like, when did we become that much of a money, like, simp culture? What the hell, dude?
He captured it, right? I mean, the fucking guy rolled in, and as he has done his whole life, wedged his way in and fucking took the thing over. With a lot, like, if anyone's seen the cap table of fucking Twitter, it's just oligarchs and Saudis and Russians and all kinds of shit. Like, he doesn't fucking care, you know, at all. And
masks off, right?
Well, and that's the thing. The masks are absolutely off, and it is now blatantly clear that this guy is just running a psyop, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he believes this shit. In other words, he really is a racist, and he really is a eugenicist, and all of the fucking stuff that he defends. But he knows that most of the stuff that he puts out there is complete bullshit. He just fucking does, because any idiot could. And he does it anyway. And you know, to me, let me give briefly. There was never mind. I can't remember it right now. I'm trying to remember. There was a guy who was deported for doing exactly what. Oh, I know who it is. Fritz Kuhn. Sorry, I had an old man fart, but now I'm back. I was doing the weave.
He was doing the weave.
Yes, the Nazi rally was by the German American Bund. The German American Bund was led by a German guy who came to America, an immigrant who came to America, got involved in business, and became a naturalized citizen. Good for you, Fritz Kuhn. And then what he just proceeded to do was build a fucking cult of Hitler sympathizers inside of America. And in 1939, his sort of, culmination as a Nazi was this rally. And so this was February of 1939.
Correct.
And in September of 1939, that motherfucker went to prison. He got arrested because he was a dirty criminal. Shockingly, what he was doing was get this, extorting Jewish people by telling them that the Nazis would eliminate them if they didn't give him money.
Oh my God.
The guy
who ran shit.
Yeah. Right. Because I know, and there apparently actually wasn't really communication. This guy's just a fucking Nazi in America. But it doesn't matter. They got this fucking guy. They were like, no, put him in jail, denaturalized him. Because look, when you pledge allegiance to America, when you become a citizen, you pledge an oath to the Constitution. You pledge your loyalty to America. And if what you do is come here and try to tear it down, to try and destroy the Constitution that you swore an oath of allegiance to, you can be denaturalized. You can have your shit taken. You can be deported, which is what happened to Fritz Kuhn in 1945.
I do think that when Elon Musk says he'll go to prison if Trump doesn't win, perhaps he's heard that story before.
He might be channeling Fritz Kuhn.
He could very well be. Thank you for that. Jason Stanley, who wrote How Fascism Works in that interview with us a few months back, goes on to say that it's going to be women who have to lead this charge. It's women who are being turned into second-class citizens and having their rights taken away. He said a harsh train is coming for women if this continues. So that is why I wanted you to play that clip to remind everybody of Jason Stanley's challenge to us for women to lead this charge. And I think we've just given you a bit of evidence that that is occurring. Before we show the clips, and maybe we'll go a couple minutes long today, I just do want to say that I've also been asked through the interviews that I've been giving how we got here. And I've been thinking about that because we got here one lie at a time, one amoral NBC producer at a time who knew Trump was not a billionaire. We got there literally one author who created the mythological art of the deal character for cash at a time, a New York media sphere who had a duty to warn but did not, one access journalist at a time, one normalizing puff piece at a time, lie after lie, compounding to completely annihilate reality, aiming to force people to overthrow their own governments. And yes, I had the honor of being interviewed by Adrian Goldberg recently on Trump, MAGA, and the F word being fascism. And I quoted both you, Jim, and High Fidelity, because a couple years ago in Byline Times, I was writing and quoting you guys on how Musk was passing messages for Putin, how Musk was going to turn Twitter into Vkontakte, how High Fidelity said that this would be a $44 billion PSYOPs cannon, how Jim said he was creating the biggest on-ramp for radicalization in history. And while we were reporting that 2 years ago, all we were hearing in the media was, oh, he's spending too much money. Nothing that we are talking about, nothing that we were warning about. And of course, now we know he, like Trump, is communicating directly with Vladimir Putin. We know what he has done to harm soldiers in Ukraine. We know what he's done to benefit autocratic countries. So Fritz Kuhn his ass is what I'm saying.
Can I just point something out? Because a lot of people I talk to don't really think that, you know, Facebook and Twitter are being used in this weaponized way to gather data on Americans and create psychographic profiles of them and then target them with propaganda specifically based on that data. But we have evidence in the past of technology being used for fascism, right? When we talk about IBM and the Holocaust, like, they literally designed a system to track Jews that the Germans were exterminating. Why does it seem that different to people that social media hasn't become kind of the same sort of data system, except it's not just targeting one little segment of the population, it's targeting everyone? I don't know.
No, I mean, it sure is weird that all these Nazis want to get a hold of these social media companies.
Sure
right?
is.
I mean, Peter Thiel is the one who funded Facebook. We keep pointing this out, with Russian money. Magically, suddenly has a $20 billion valuation because some Russians decided to put $2 billion into it. Now, why would they
would
do
that be
that?
would that be the guy who got me kicked off of Twitter? Would it be that guy?
Probably.
Sure would.
Probably,
Sure would.
Probably an early version of Gibson Go or something.
Sure would. I do want to point out that the first people that were rounded up in camps once Hitler got into power, which he did not have to get into power, by the way, were those he sought revenge on. So, but before he began his the horrors that we all know about, I don't even like saying the words, he was putting like the people that he sought revenge against, politicians.
Can I read you something real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah. This it's fucking Flynn's. Flynn just tweeted something, and I'm just gonna read a line or two of it. He's
you
very.
You can share your desktop if you want, man.
I can do that. I can do that.
Yeah.
Hold on. We have the technology now. Wait a second.
Do we?
I think so.
Do we though? Do we though?
We'll find out. We'll see if I start showing my. Do you see that?
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
So look at that technology. So
Awesome.
I have had a series of relentless media attacks from all the left-wing media sites. And his life now, Mike Flynn's life, is at increased risk. Now, I feel the need to point out that Mike Flynn, for a fucking year before Donald Trump nearly got assassinated twice, said, yo, it would be wild if Donald Trump got assassinated. So he absolutely knows. But the thing is, you must be so terribly afraid of what I might advise a Trump administration. You should be afraid of what I might advise the Trump administration. This motherfucker is just straight up threatening all of us, threatening the media, for having the temerity of covering the fact that this guy is out there in public all day, every fucking day, openly conspiring against the Constitution of the United States of America. And I'll leave it here. I sometimes in a petulant fury, I will write a tweet to the president or somebody. So I wrote one to Kamala Harris, just a simple request. I had some backup to it, but the request was, make treason illegal again.
Yeah, right.
It's not a complicated concept. The Constitution is a law. It's the law. It is the rule of law. It's the top of the law. And when people openly make plans whose end result is the end of that is a thing that is as illegal as it gets, and we need to make it illegal. So
yeah, it's funny because I actually tweeted.
Just like speaking of retribution.
Yeah.
The three of us.
Yeah.
Boy howdy. If this shit goes wrong, y'all, it's gonna be wild.
We're fucked. I'm not injured.
So
we'll be wild. We'll be wild. I want to say two things in response to that, Jim. I tweeted out the same thing, probably around the same time, so we must have had it in our mind, make treason illegal again. It always has been, but like, deal with it. Why are we so bad at dealing with treason and traitors? I don't know, but I do. I do know, because we pardoned criminal. We pardoned those who committed traitorous acts on our soil at the highest level. So that was a bad thing to do. So what I hear in that tweet is a classic fascist technique that I learned from Jason Stanley, and that's victimization. That victimese that he's speaking. I'm the victim. This is the projection that always occurs. But I would dare say that this man's life was jeopardized the moment he got into bed with the Russians. However that occurred, that's where he made his deal, and that is where some of his fear must lie. Because look at Prigozhin. Look at so many of the people in Putin's orbit. It's not ending well for them. So, No,
homie knows he knows his spot. And yeah, what he's trying to do is build room for himself so he can put together his next fucking plan for the next few months. He's trying to say, you better not cover me while I try to steal the election again. Because when I succeed, I'm going to come after you. That's literally what he's saying. That is the subtext, almost the open, meaning of what he's saying is, we're going to lose. I'm going to steal it. When I do, I'm going to fucking get you.
So
I don't know. Maybe it's time they went after Mike Flynn.
First of all, you have to catch me, motherfucker. And second of all, I'm your black swan, Mike Flynn.
So I do want to thank USA Today and MSNBC and some of the networks and newspapers who have the courage to actually begin covering these treacherous people who are threatening the very foundation of our democracy and radicalizing people to believe that Democrats are some form of Antichrist, and it's just not true. And I hope that the Nazi rally really did strike people as being just completely and utterly the bottom. I do hope that's true. And one thing I will say that I've been thinking about, and I do want to save some room for a couple of clips. We have an opportunity to make right what we didn't make right in 2016. When in 2013, Hillary Clinton was America's favorite politician. In 2011, she warned people that Putin's election was fraudulent. By 2016, he'd done a full court press to make people think, and Fox had done a full court press to make people think that we needed to burn some witch and lock her up and all the crap that we went through, when in fact, she was right about everything. We have an opportunity to make it right by honoring and celebrating our first woman president on Inauguration Day. And that is what I hope America is up for. My message is, yes, we have so much work to do now still between now and the election, and we cannot deviate from that mission. Let's make it right, America. And on that note, we interviewed a vice principal, a high school vice principal from Toronto, Canada, who is an influencer. Some friend of hers kid said, you need to start doing TikToks. And she's like, I don't know. And she started to do them, and her first political one went viral. And now she's educating a worldwide audience on tariffs and, you know, and how to deal with anxiety in high school and on the electoral college. And Jim, I'm sorry, I voted her RadPod Teacher of the Year without conferring with you, but I think you're going to see why. So let's hear from Joanna Johnson, aka Unlearn 16 on various social medias, and Unlearn 16 tweet. And she's got a great
from, I think, like episode 2 of Star Wars. Don't hate me because it's from episode 2, because it was a great quote. But I think about it often because I think about it throughout history. I think about it obviously under Hitler. You think about it under a lot of dictatorships and a lot of horrific sort of genocidal leaders, both culturally and physically. So this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause. It's a perfect quote. And it's a perfect quote that speaks to, we hand it over. We cheer for these people, predominantly men, although there have been some women that have led kind of these kind of charges. Margaret Thatcher tends to come to mind. And we cheer for them because they've created a sort of a false enemy. They've created the bad guy, the boogeyman in the closet. They pointed their finger and they say, I'm going to control them. I got you. I'm going to take care of that, whether it be obviously the Jewish community during the Holocaust, whether it be immigrants for Trump right now, whether it be unions in Margaret Thatcher's regime, right? I'm going to stop that so you have a better life. When in actuality, what they're doing is they're chipping away at our freedoms, at our rights, all the while propagating, all the while screaming at the top of their lungs about freedom for everybody. It's a very interesting balance. And then you see the resurgence, obviously, of religion and theocratic leanings. And again, why is that the case? All the respect in the world to people who have faith. But when you're leading a country with it, you're looking for a simplistic solution that was written 5,000 years ago in a document to apply it to today, because you don't want to think for yourself and decide, is this the right thing?
she has a very, very strong way of communicating. I mean,
she's great. You know what her secret is?
It's hard to communicate these sorts of thoughts in a way that, you know, doesn't feel esoteric, and she does an amazing job.
I beg you guys to watch that episode 115. Watch her explainer on tariffs. Show everybody you know. And you're right. The genius of Joanna is that she reads a lot of books, and she basically was saying, if you're like a elementary school math teacher, she said, you have to be a genius. You have to be able to teach like math like 16 different ways. And so mad love and all props to our teachers. And I'm very grateful. Joanna also did a video of her first day of school when she was made vice principal of her school, which was in September. And she shows what she's wearing. And it's really, really funny. But there's a moment where she's like, I gave out 32 high fives. And I was like, man, you know, if she had been VP of my high school, I think things might have turned out a little bit better. Can we see another clip from Joe, please?
Education, but here's the unfortunately diabolical genius, and I use that word loosely, okay, of the alt-right right now, because they've demonized education. Education right now is the they. And the reason why they're doing it, for two reasons. And by the way, I think one is strategic, and one is just simply practical. The first one's strategic because if I demonize they, I can control the spread of information. I can then hop on different bandwagons depending on whose agenda. Like if the alt-right Christian network doesn't want me teaching evolution, cool. I say that there's no Department of Education. You guys go ahead and teach what you want. But on the practical side, it's just about money.
Yeah, that education thing is so important. What is like the main target of people like Teal. It's fucking education, right? Where
pays kids to drop out of college.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like, where do you get all these? So one of the big betting markets that is out there. So if you are unfortunate to ever watch any Trump rallies on RSBN on the Russian propaganda network, there'll be a Kalshi ad next to it, and it will say to you, we'll give you $175 if you bet $100 on Donald Trump. All right. Now, this is one of the betting markets that they're spreading all over the place to show that Donald Trump is clearly ahead of Kamala Harris, because obviously these people who are betting money must know something. Right. When literally the calculation is like, no, we'll give you $75 if you make our poll meaningless, right? And it's right there next to Trump while he's speaking. Yeah. It's remarkable. It's Donald Trump, and then an ad that says we'll bribe you $75 to vote for to create an alternate reality about this guy. Now, where does Kalshi come from? The Founders Fund. The Founders Fund is a Peter Thiel venture fund, and the CEO.
I'm still a piece of garbage.
He was delivering it to you.
Excellent.
And the CEO.
And now here's where I'm landing. The CEO was one of these guys who Peter Thiel was like, stop doing that college shit. I'll make you rich. Just come over here and do some fashy crap, and you can pretend to keep doing your little startup, but one of these days I'm gonna need you.
Yeah.
And Bob Jerkel, when it comes time, this Founders Fund, Peter Thiel bot kid is just shooting these ads off into space, and nobody fucking gives a shit.
Right.
So there's Polymarket, which is this guy, but the Kalshi ones are the ones that are always right next to Trump, which is why I was interested in that one in particular. But it's the same thing. Yeah. And both from Peter Thiel's orbit of anti-intellectual fucking garbage junkies. And just to put a fine point on it, he pays smart kids to drop out of woke school to go do shit like that, right? To literally intentionally build an entire company and infrastructure and all of this stuff just to lie to people in order to steal an election.
I think, thank you, Jim.
It's diabolical.
I was just going to say diabolical is the exact word. I do want you to show the last clip, or the second to the last one, because I think it is absolutely magnificently timed with what Jim just stated.
Challenge, when we speak about billionaire and their power, what we're really speaking about is the endgame of capitalism, which is the problem. It's too much power. If money denotes power, billionaires or anybody making it, their interest is in how do I make more and gain more power? And to me, it's a money drive. So if we're going to live in a capitalist system where we are driven in our world to amass as much of a surplus fortune as we possibly can, if that is our goal, we will destroy ourselves. And that's always been the problem with capitalism. And when I talk about this, people instantaneously, oh, you're such a communist. I'm like, listen, obviously that didn't play out either. But when we talk about Marx and we talk about his primary issue, which is the alienation of humanity from their labor, because when we sell it And when we do things that aren't who we are, or when we do things that don't, because he talked a lot about the assembly line, when we don't do things to their completion, we are not filling our soul. And so how have we tried to fill it? Well, we've tried to fill it by putting $1 million in our bank account, and we assume that's going to make us feel better. And when it doesn't, and we're still void of purpose, and want to know why mental health is at an all-time high? Because people are making millions of dollars drop shipping. Who cares? How do you have any purpose in your soul from that? Day trading. Want to know why day trading is at an all-time high suicide rate? Because there's nothing of substance but money in that profession. And when you're trying to figure out how money can make more money, humanity gets pushed aside. And education, which, by the way, was created in order to put people on the assembly line and make them little automaton workers, which we're so far past, which is why education needs a complete and utter revolution. But when that's the case, we are starting to see it's very easy for those people to say, well, this model, like just chuck it all and homeschool your kids, or chuck it all and go to private school. To me, it's all about an end game of money and about the pretense that should be the only goal of your existence, because we've chucked everything else.
Are we going to chuck everything else?
Inject that fucking. I mean, that it's incredible. Here's the thing that I think people. One way to, a simple way to put what she just so eloquently said. Our problem is that there's a shitload of billionaires who want to be trillionaires.
Mm-hmm.
Really,
yeah.
Like that's what this is. It's these creatures, right, who have sort of emerged, right, at the very end of the psychopath sort of chain. Why? Because the only way you get $250 billion is to be as fucking nuts as Elon Musk is, to be so narcissistic that you literally think that you can play God, that you can lie to people, create alternate realities for their whole lives, right? To fill their heads with fucking nonsense knowingly, on purpose, in order to steal their vote in the country that you got your money from.
Yeah, and are still getting your money from.
Imagine the kind of psychology it takes to get that kind of money in the first place. You think they're ever going to stop?
No.
They won't. And
No.
Joanna is just bang on. It is psychopathy.
Yeah.
That has taken control of capitalism, right? Capitalism is competition. Competition can be very powerful. As I've said, it's like gasoline, right? If you fucking put it in an engine with a lot of regulation around it, steel and shit, right? And you put it in specific amounts and make it can fucking rocket you places. But if you throw it on the ground and light a match, it will blow up. And that's where we are right now. And we are basically, Elon Musk and the fucking PayPal mafia and the rest of these assholes have a match, right? Over the giant puddle of gas that they just spilled all over the place. Right. And our job is to fucking, I don't know, jump under it.
You know what? We got a match too. We got a match too, and there's way more of us. And you want to know something? This is precious and this is important. And you want to know something else? I think these guys have finally flown too close to the sun, and we're going to find out if people agree with us on this show this week. Yeah, that's what I think.
I still predict, and I'm going to stick with this until somebody shows me different. We've hit peak cringe. America is fucking exhausted. We're fucking done with this shit. We've hit the
That was so beautiful.
That is why I love you. Thank you so much.
And for many other reasons too. Joanna's last words to us when I said, "What can you tell Americans?" I don't know if you cut that or not. Should I just say what she said? You cut it? Okay. She basically said, "Don't pay attention to the Coliseum and the lions and the show. Don't be distracted from what you have to do. And what we have to do is make it right, America. We're going to make it right. We're going to rebuke this Putinist shit and make it right."
Yep. We are. And then we're gonna and then we're gonna fucking armor up.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be easy for the next few months.
No.
Look,
we're gonna need a lot of love and steel in our spines.
We'll get there.
Thanks, guys.
Everybody thinks that the election is the finish line, and it's not.
No.
The finish line isn't crossed until she's inaugurated. Then will she clean up America? I hope so.
Me too.
Get rid of Ray, get rid of Garland. There's a reason I started this episode with Bob Marley's Redemption songs. America has not always been a great country. We've done a lot of really stupid, evil shit in our past, but we are getting better. We're expanding. We're growing as a country, as a people. And right now, we are living through the most illegally interfered election cycle in the history of these United States. Mm-hmm. There are foreign adversaries, including Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, UAE, elements within Israel. They are working with European and American traitors to end liberal democracy globally.
True. Word.
And enslave everyone but those at the top. And very little is going to be what it seems for the next few months. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. Just stay in the fucking fight until she's in. Just vote Harris. Pull out your phone. Go through your contact list. People you haven't talked to in years. Hey, I've been thinking about you. Did you vote? I miss you. It's not hard. We got 4 days to wake up. Make me proud, America.
Vote.